This should be the last video for this thread, where in the several previous reaction videos or perspective videos, we have gone through this thread where we exchanges comments, back and forth, question, answers, opinions, etc. And we have reached to this point. And if we want to know the proper context of what have taken place in terms of the exchanges before this, feel free to refer to the previous videos. Right, so he replied to my previous comments where we have dealt with various verses. Okay, let's just take a look, right? So we have dealt with the verses that he cited, and I have addressed each of the verses from my perspective, and now we reach to this point. Okay. Hello, thanks for your explanation. I know it takes time to research this, but I'm hoping to see the challenge Allah created for you guys on this Injeel topic. Now that we both understand your position to my question, the Quran confirms the Injeel given to Jesus, which was a revelation, meaning that it was nothing tangible like a book. Originally, okay, because I'm thinking, because like Quran is a revelation, but of course in the form it is being revealed, it's not revealed by handing a book. So in that sense, whatever revelation, I do not imagine it is like a book coming from heaven. Yeah, but that's my assumption at best, because I haven't, we know only what we are given knowledge in terms of. For example, the Quran says they are given revelation. We know they are given revelation. How exactly they are given, if it is not mentioned, I do not know. So that's to the limit of my knowledge. I am going to show you something that I'm pretty sure is going to change your position. The first issue is 7157. Those whom follow the messenger, the unlettered prophet, whom they find written in the Torah and Gospel. I'm not sure, stated that we will find Muhammad written in the Injeel. What do you mean by accidentally? You stated that the Injeel was a direct revelation from Allah to Jesus. Okay. In this statement, Allah was clear he was referring to. Okay, I'm not sure how he suddenly say he was referring to this. How? Where? Where is the in the Quran says you will find in the Gospel of Mark, Mathew, Luke and John? I'm not sure. That was already circulation before, during and after Muhammad's time. So Allah was clear here. I'm not sure how he get that. So yeah. Second, Surah 547 is referring to the actual gospel Christian physically possessed in the 7th century, using 3 layers of evidence: linguistic, historical and Quranic context. Surah 547. Okay, he didn't cite it back, so let me take a look at 547. How is it clear in that sense? Oh, let the people go judge. Okay, I have given all of this, and it seems that it doesn't affect his position, I think. Anyway, where is it? Okay. It's referring to the actual gospel Christian physically possessed in the 7th century using 3 layers. Even if you look at Ibn Kathir classical Muslim commentary, he explains that 547 refers to Christians being required to follow what was revealed in their gospel at that time. Al-Jalalain says the same thing. Christians should apply the ruling from the gospel they possess. Okay, so how does this mean? This referring to the actual gospel they possess. Where's the word that I just read just now? Okay, so this portion is about this specific verse, I think. Okay. Third evidence confirm the writing of Injeel that was circulating at the time is by to check hadith evidence of Sahih al-Bukhari. It says Warqa bin Nawfal used to write the gospel in Hebrew as much as Allah willed him to write. This means there were a physical written gospel. Okay. But how do you know this is the four gospel. Is that inferred by something? Is there any internal evidence, meaning any hadith that says that Waraqah right, Mathew, Mark, John, etc.? My friend, I hate to tell you this, but the evidence shows a serious problem. If Allah truly wanted people to follow Injeel, why He secretly stashed? Okay, if Allah truly wants people to follow Injeel, I'm not sure how from whatever we discuss, we suddenly come to this. So it is interesting sometimes when I discuss with Christians, because this is the this is the basis of the question. But the basis of the question is something like, okay, because the basis is not valid, then the question is not valid to me, right? So why He secretly stashed it away where no one can find it? Yes, Allah, He should know where it is, correct? Look at the reality of Muhammad's time. The only gospel in circulation for hundreds of years before Islam was the Christian gospel. Okay, the Mathew, Mark, Luke and John. Is he talking about the Arab region or worldwide? Even your own hadith show Muslim like Waraqah ibn Nawfal were copying from this written gospel in Hebrew. The Quran itself commands Christians to judge. Okay, this is false. Right? It's not commanding Christian. It's like, because the verse is to Muhammad SAW, let them judge. It's not like you have to command the Christian or it is only right for the Christian. It's not that. Right? Feel free to go back to the previous video. We have covered about 547 in its context. So I do not feel like repeating it here, because he seems to just skip those things. And since Muhammad is found written in the Torah and the Gospel, okay, so finding Muhammad, found is already mentioned, because in even the current Bible, that, you know, whatever the current Bible is, we have mentioned, Mufassir already have mentioned certain examples in the Bible that is understood to be the what is left in there that is still referring to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Okay, so we have covered that. If the true Injil have been lost, then Allah was telling people to follow a book that they didn't have, which would make Him unjust. I would love you to hear your response, as I feel you have to change your position because Allah is making it difficult for you to stand on one position. Okay, but perhaps there's something He's perceiving that I cannot understand, because I have already laid out the explicit mention about it was corrupt, it is no longer the pure state, is corrupted, etc., etc., as well as the verses in the Quran that explicit mention this is referring to the revelation. So the four gospel do not even claim to be. The only verses where, like, let them judge by the gospel. So and the verse is mentioning about law from God therein, right? So meaning that what is from God is not the full whatever kind of gospel that is. But for example, the citation, I think the previous video we mentioned that certain quote in the Bible quoting Jesus and quoting Moses is what parallel to what Allah mentioned that can be found in the Torah and Injeel. Hence, the best possible portion where in the current Bible that we can find any remnants of the original revelation is whenever Jesus and Moses was quoted to say something, because they are basically teaching the revelation, right? So that's I mentioned about my position in the previous video. Do you have any evidence that the Gospels in Hebrew that they have in Saudi Arabia are Mathew, Mark, Luke and John? Asking because what you write seems to imply as if the tafsir stated the story of Waraqah, etc. implies as such. Yeah, throughout here he mentioned as if, or it's clear that what the hadith is mentioned or the Quran mentioned is the four gospels, when I cannot see how he can conclude that. Yes, the gospel used in Arabia at the time were Mark, Mathew, Luke and John. Even your own Sahih Bukhari says, Waraqah used to write the gospel in Hebrew as much as Allah willed him to write. So this is, from his perspective, it is implied, I think. That means Injeel was a real written book, not imaginary. Okay. As I said, historically, the church has already long recognized the 4 gospels. Okay, I think in previous comment, I'm not sure by him. No, some of the tafsir, I think, mentioned that certain things that mention Muhammad, I think the Gospel of Barnabas, right, which is considered as apocryphal. I'm not familiar with that word. And certain people says, I think some Christians says that Waraqah bin Nawfal is from, is it deviant or what they call that? Meaning that offshoot from Christianity. So I'm not sure what Christus Harden believe Waraqah bin Nawfal is from. Is it he's truly within the mainstream Christian, or something else? Because several Christians already mentioned that Waraqah bin Nawfal, because from that perspective they are accusing Muhammad SAW of knowing about the Bible from Waraqah, but they accuse that Waraqah is not true Christian or something. It's like Christian offshoot that is no longer valid, something like that, right? From this all of this information, right, is it possible what he write, for example, Waraqah bin Nawfal, and because based on some Christians comment that Waraqah bin Nawfal is not the mainstream Christian, right? Is it possible that the gospel that he wrote is what mainstream Christian believe to be not the 4 gospel and not the valid gospel? It's like thing that they do not accept, while that is actually the true one. I'm talking about hypothetically. I'm not making assertion. I'm taking, if we want to see all the points that we have, right? Can that be hypothetically? Can that be one of the possibilities? Why should it be like just because Waraqah bin Nawfal write the gospel, it's just the 4, not the Barnabas one or something else, right? I assume the gospel of Barnabas is not the 4 because it considered, but correct me if I'm wrong. That means the Injeel was a real written. Okay, as I said, historically, yes, okay, church. So it's like, based on this, it is assumed, right? That's the base understanding that I can have. Early church father named them, and the Garima manuscript, Ethiopia preserved this exact 4, next door to Arabia. Okay, so you can say that next door. So it is assumed, right, that in Arabia is the same, but there's no proof from the Hadith or the Quran ever mention the 4 gospels. So here my question again: if Allah confirmed the Injeel, where is it? But this verse is not. Wait, 7157, is it the verse that mentioned that it is confirmed? What do you mean by you are referring to different verse and then you impose it on a different verse, right? Because this is the verse, right? He had revealed to you the book in truth, which is the Quran, confirming what comes before it, and he revealed Torah and Injeel. So here Quran confirm revelation before, and example of revelation before is Torah and Injeel that Allah revealed, which is definitely not the 4 gospel. And suddenly he takes this and saying that Allah confirmed the book, and then he imposed it into a different verse here. So that's bizarre. Of course, it's not okay. It's in this discussion, I feel it's bizarre, but maybe it's not as bizarre because you maybe take the approach that every time that Injeel was mentioned, it is exactly in the same context, and maybe. But if you want to say that, because this verse is about Muhammad SAW being mentioned in the Bible, but if you want to focus on this verse and the implication, the mention of Muhammad SAW can be argued still is in the Bible today. So there's nothing wrong with the statement of Allah SWT that Muhammad was mentioned there, even if we want to say anything. Can you show even one verse, one manuscript or one name? No, this one is quite clear. I have mentioned from the very beginning, I do not claim to know if, because my assumption is no longer available, especially in the complete revelation set, right? Some remnants of it still existing in the gospel or in the Torah of the current Bible, that's not out of the question, but as a whole, you cannot find it. If not, then you're left with two choices. Either the Injeel in the past, at the time of Muhammad SAW, is the four gospel still read today. Okay, when you say the Injeel that Christian have, that's one thing. But when you try to impose that Injeel that Allah mentioned as the revelation, that's different thing. Or Allah confirmed a book that never existed. Allah confirmed the revelation, because again, Allah confirmed, that's the verse that mentioned there. It is about what is revealed before. So obviously you cannot claim the four gospel. That's quite clear. Where is it, etc.? I don't know. If you are not satisfied with this answer, find someone who know, because I don't claim to have that knowledge. Until the end of the day, if you keep pushing me on where is it, my answer is still the same. I don't know, I don't care, because it doesn't affect me, right? So maybe it affects you because you want to debate, right? But if you want to find the truth, this question is not that significant actually. All of this question is a debating point. But if you want to say, okay, let's see how the Bible is the truth and how the Quran is the truth, on its own you can show that the Bible cannot be a reliable source to know God, and the Quran is indeed from God. That can be shown independently, right? All of these are debating point. I do understand. Of course, from even in debating point of view, there should be a valid answer for valid question. For any invalid question, maybe there's no answer. But anyway, so that's it for today. It interestingly took some time to cover this whole thread. I intended to cover several threads of discussion, but only this one thread, it takes, I think, 3 videos, if I'm not mistaken, and it's already almost midnight tonight. So with that, thank you for watching. And for those who, because I intend to cover many different threads, especially those comments that involve you, for some of you that we have exchanges. So be patient, I'll get to that inshallah soon. See you next time.